I woke up feeling like I really don't belong. I can't explain it. When I close my eyes, I see a strange reality. Am I dreaming, or on the edge of remembering? You wake up feeling like you really don't belong. You can't explain it, but when you close your eyes you see familiarity. Are you dreaming, or on the edge of remembering? Where's a band when you need it? Good afternoon. I've just been doing all day. Actually, I didn't even finish what I was doing, but I figured, given the nature of what it is, a future blueberry orange vanilla jam kind of a thing, it can sit and gel up a little bit, because I'm gonna have to take it out and put it in my little pulsar food processor kind of thing. I want to break it all up. I'll break it all down and then strain it through some cheesecloth and then cook it to the desired consistency. So I figured it can sit for a little while. It's not going to be a tragedy. Yeah, you know, I went to get the rest of my blueberries. Excuse me, I had about a little over a cup left. And I'd been thinking, well, today I'll have another spice cake with fresh blueberries. But in my heart, I was really thinking one of the many overripe bananas that are sitting on my counter at the moment. And then when I went to get the berries, they were wrinkled. I was going to throw them out, and I said, what are you, crazy? The country, remember what you used to do. Actually, mine never got to the point where they were wrinkled unless I was actually dehydrating them. But at this time, my new habits are not always the best ones for whatever I've got around. And I'd eaten so many of the fresh ones, I was kind of like, I can go a day or two. And actually, they really couldn't. They were starting to dry. So then I thought, well, it needs a little acid, you know, to help it set up. So I went with the a fresh orange. Just peeled it all out, and, you know, made sure there were no pits. Chopped it up coarsely and threw it in. And so far, so good. You know, it's breaking down. I just say oranges look so weird when you're trying to cook them with something else because the way they explode when you finally get them to open up, it's like a sea monster or an anemone or something. Oh yeah, we need this. Meg, hello. I'm sorry your box is still sitting over here. We have inclement weather. It's going to get more inclementy as the day and night goes on, apparently. Lucas, how are you, darling? Nice to see your, what do you call it when there's no picture? Yeah, Agnes doesn't have one either. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want it to be terrible for anybody. I'm one of those ghoulish people that enjoy overcast days because it means a lower risk of skin cancer. Especially sitting in front of all these windows. But it does mess up my art. But I was busy and I really could not get here earlier today. So I've been watching the storm move across the country, coming up from the south. Looks like it really got angry when it went through Texas. Although the tornado warnings are off, which is nice. But Ryan Hall, y'all, thinks that it could be back to reporting on tornadoes as the storm moves up. So let's hope not. There's enough nastiness out there. We're getting some snow, wind, you know, winter. But most of it has been just kind of passing over here. Okay. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Definitely dawning. So I am having one of those days where my energy went out there to help somebody else, which is not a boast of any kind. It's just that it was grieving, you know. My little friend down here is grieving the loss of his brother and his mother, and tomorrow makes 1 year for his brother. And his mother basically died of a broken heart. And like the same year, last year, I think it was June or July, she passed away. Now he's all by himself for the first time in his entire life. And he's 55 and autistic. So, of course, you know, when you have that kind of a challenge, it's even more of a challenge. So this is The first time I've dealt with anybody this closely, I mean, when I was 15 years old, I was a volunteer in a summer camp for kids who were autistic or everywhere on the scale, Down syndrome. That was my first experience up close, but that was just for a summer, and now I'm an adult dealing with an adult. And, you know, I'm trying to just be a good observer and a good listener, because for some reason, I guess, you know, because like funeral over, when we lose somebody, unfortunately, people forget that because they're not the ones suffering the loss, people around you do not remember. And so they're not with you, they're not there when you're remembering your loss or when you're grieving. So he's been feeling guilty for grieving, like it's been going too long, like you're supposed to just get over it. And he doesn't understand why he still cries. So today's, instead of doing a meditation, Gloria was going out, she was out getting a COVID test to make sure that she's, you know, finally clear. And so it was just him and I, so it was more like a counseling session than a meditation group today. But I have to learn, I'm learning, you know, how to talk to someone with this. He was able to work. He worked at the casino until he retired. And thank God he could do that, right? So he was left with a bit of a pension, and because he's too young to get Social Security at this point. Although he could actually qualify for disability. But it's kind of like, I have worked with people before as clients when I was doing card readings. And of course I've met all kinds of people and read for all kinds of people and situations, and I have seen quite in 65 years of reading, not all professional, obviously. I started when I was 3. But you see all these patterns. You see all the ways people are predictable. But I'm very leery about people becoming like followers. I've never wanted to set myself up as a guru. I've never promoted myself. I've never taken out ads to, like, come over here and listen to my side of the truth of life, you know, my interpretation. Because I don't want to be anybody's guru or savior or any of that bullshit. It's like, let's not get sucked into that. It just distracts you from your own evolution. So I think, you know, everybody should go everywhere and look and see what resonates within. But don't elevate anyone to a position where they become your mediator between you and the universe. Because we have enough of that, people giving up their power. But anyway, I know how people can attach. And so I'm worried, not a great deal, but like I'm worried to some degree that what happens if this man bonds with me too much and I pass away because I'm older than him, or something happens and I move. I'm not planning on being here forever in any respect, other than, you know, if I leave behind good stuff, then awesome. Anyway, I'm trying to walk a fine line. I swear he knows that I'm here. I made sure he understands that if he's sick, he needs, because he's been sick, if he needs help, if he needs anything, to call me. Make sure I got his my phone number, and he's one of those whiz kids at numbers. So he memorizes numbers very quickly. So no, not Rain Man, but he is an interesting person. Of course, he doesn't talk very much, but I've been working to help him express himself a little more. So I'm glad he trusts me, and he's grateful for me, and I'm grateful if I can help him. I just don't want him to get, you know, he needs to be able to stand on his own as much as possible, because he's still young enough to live or be around for a long time. And he's lived in this building for 30 years, and he doesn't venture out on his own. He just goes out shopping with his older brother's last sibling once a week or once every 2 weeks, you know. So this is kind of like his life right here in this building. Just kind of strange. Because this is not an institution, you know, this is a regular apartment building. People of all kinds of conditions and youth and old age, all of them live here. Just happens that they've got some of the rooms, some of the apartments, like mine, that are fixed with their rent, you know, so I can actually afford to live here. But that's not the case for most of the people that live in this building. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have too many. What am I trying to do? Poor Toblerina. Oh. Now, this is a really good, I have an actual real life example of how we are influenced by the past and our family. And it's not a good one, but it's mine. Because you've heard me talk about my father and how brilliant he was. He was also a dick. Yes, that's aside. Because he was mostly a really brilliant man, and he did not suffer fools, including when I was being foolish. So he, of course, after death, gave me the most amazing experience of my life. I forgot where I was going to try and go with this. Dad. I hate when I do that, but I have resonated today. So I have to blame that a little. I start counting threads. My brain goes from one side to the other. Okay, you're doing something logical and numerical, and now I'm starting to talk about something that has no foundation there. It's another thing. Okay, I remember now. That spurred that on. Okay, because I'm making something for Toblerina's best friend, the toe right next to it. So I have, of all of the crazy, stupid things, an eczema breakout just on that toe, where it was scuffed with an emery board when I got my pedicure. Yep. Well, see, my father, being a brilliant man, did more than one thing in his life. After his father died and his sister died and Dr. King was assassinated, everything in his world changed. And emotionally, I mean, he went into a deep depression. And when his company was fucked up by a couple of the people that were part of it, he knew what to do to save it, and he didn't. He just couldn't. And when he was trying to get back on his feet, I see here's an example of someone who was on the top, and not top, but up there, and then crash, right? So it doesn't really matter the reason, but my father got this headset for himself that as soon as you get close to success, something goes wrong, right? So he had this, and I witnessed it several times that were significant, like a man who was about to literally write a check for $1 million so that it could jumpstart his laboratory where he was making an amazing diamond tool. A diamond tool that could cut through the ceramic that had just been invented by 3M for NASA to make these tiles that were heat resistant, but they couldn't cut it. I mean, literally, they could make slabs of this shit, but they couldn't cut it in nice, clean lines. My father's, guess what, did. So they wanted to have my father's formula, 3M. So anyway, a bunch of series of crazy things. The man who was going to write the check to jumpstart this whole thing died. Literally died, dropped dead before he could sign the check. And if you don't think that was too much, well, a couple of years or less later, the same thing happened with another man. This man so believed in what my father was doing that he actually let him slide on the rent for a year. in the laboratory and shop, and help set him up, help introduce him to a machinist, all this cool stuff, right? Just before everything was supposed to come to fruition, he died. Oh, that sounds good. I have actually edibles sitting right here because I have a feeling I might need it. I've been holding off for a little while. So you see, when you observe examples in your own circle, your own authority figures, because it's especially true with your parents, anybody who had a strong influence on you. If you had other relatives living with you, then you got to look to them and what they added to your life or took away. But in this case, it was me observing my father getting this close to success and then zoom. Now, I have recounted to you history of that exact same thing where I found success and then something came up and then something happened. So I have been trying to get this program cut out of my subconscious mind. I'm trying to override that. So today I've been like, whoa, all right, you're not focused. Don't try to manifest when you're not focused. Now, I have been reassured 3 times today. That's how insecure it went. I'm like, I'm not focusing. Why can't I focus? I got the exact messages I needed that said, okay, relax. We got your back. This is just a normal evolution. You're going to go back and forth. It's all right if you're stuck dealing with some of the past stuff today. And I was like, thank you. I love you so much. So that's basically what the universe is constantly telling us, that the universe loves us. It just reassured me I'm going to be okay, that I'm not going to go hungry, which every time I think of hungry, I get that, not hunger pains, I get that little bit of habitual fear from the survival state. So my father lived in that state when I ended up running away from the abuse and running to him. I walked right in on their struggle to regain their balance and watched them start this whole process of almost there, and bam, rug pulled out from under you. And I have emulated that unconsciously. So I've been looking at that and going, well, we cannot do that. We just can't have that. I have to have a new program. And before I could write the new program, my toe broke out. And I'm looking at my toe going, it's right next to Toblerone, and it's going to show up on photos. I mean, there's no doubt. You can't avoid that. You can't put makeup on it. Just moisturize and give it air and soak it. So I've been nursing my toe for the last couple of days going, this is a program. This is a fucking program, and you have to get to the root of this because you do not want to keep doing this to yourself. I'm onto something fun and good, and it makes people smile, and there is potential profitability, so I'm not giving up on it. I believe in it. And now that I'm on my own, and I don't have to have the approval of my husband or husbands in what I want to pursue, I'm really feeling free and good about it. So when I focus on that, my energy just goes up. I just smile. I mean, I feel it all the way up to here. It's like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Just do it. Just do it. And so I'm just rejoicing in that. All the struggles, the figuring shit out. I'm still loving it. And I did that first video yesterday, which you ladies saw. And thank you so much for liking it on wherever it was. Now, I'm still having a problem with figuring out which account I'm doing what on and what you can do on each account. I'm kind of getting there. TikTok is for video. Instagram's for photographs and video. Twitter's for everything. And I get confused with my Twitter accounts. I'm working it out though. I'm trying to remember to post something at least 3 times a week so people get used to seeing Toblerone out there. So I'm learning. I can't say I'm fast learner anymore. There were things I was very quick at picking up. This is some kind of, I pick up on it quickly, but I'm losing it almost as fast as I'm picking it up. So yeah, it's just going around and in circles sometimes. So today was one of those days where the moles were coming up left and right. I'm going, yeah, you got a problem here. Now you got to stay chill enough to send healing energy to the toe. But in the meantime, I'm going to make Toblerina's entourage, the head toe, after Toblerina. I'm going to have to make her something to wear. And not just to disguise her, because that's really just a cap. If I cover just, the whole nail, it pretty much covers everything that's affected at the moment. It's not a huge area. And I would have been scared a while back if this had happened. I'd be looking at that and going, oh my God, I've got cancer. But no, it itched, and it's like, I know what you are. You're blistering eczema. I just had a couple blisters in my hand. It must be the time of year, so stay calm. It'll pass. So yeah, the real life, taking an echo of your examples. We use our examples for our original patterns, and then we've got to spot the bad ones and replace them. And it is a chore. It is actually, you've got to be devoted to your happiness to do it. Oh my goodness, and that. Like, are these the painkiller ones? These, I didn't look them up to see what they're normally. This comes under confection, I guess, because it's made by a confectioner, and it is very good. But it doesn't say this is what you want to take if you're not able to sleep, or you're in a lot of pain, or you just want some euphoria. It doesn't tell me anything. I'm going to have to look it all up by doses. It's got THC, CBG, and CBD. So I figure, doesn't it sound like something for pain? Or anxiety and pain? Exactly, Meg. Exactly. So it's really important, as I've been reminded of it all day, is we have to keep our energy up. We are here for one main reason. It's hard to believe it when you look around the world, which is why I'm saying don't look around the world right now. When you want to create something, do not attach to anything you know. Don't attach to the world, because you will just bring yourself down. 5%. This is THC 5/100 milligrams, CBG 5/100 milligrams, CBD less than 2 milligrams, NW Confections, California. Good, okay. So since we're here for joy, that's the number one reason, to experience joy. And the reason we have to keep harping on that, even though things can be uncertain, as a matter of fact, especially when things are uncertain, we want to kind of go into that uncertainty. If we keep going back to what we're certain, it really means we're drawing from the past. And if the past does not have a lot of happiness, if you're remembering things that do not bring joyous feelings, those are the wrong things to be focusing on, unless you're working to get rid of them. So, like, I had to look at my father's, where did I get this habit of undermining myself? Energetically, I come up with something great, and something else cuts it off at the ankles. Why? Why is that happening? It's like, I even married somebody who made sure that happened. Glenn was a narcissist, and I didn't even recognize that at first. I didn't even know what it was called. So I paid the price for that, not knowing. But I've learned now, and I will never make that mistake again. But the point is, joy, when you're in a feeling, a state of joy, and even higher, where you're kind of just so high on joy and happiness, you are buzzing, you are glowing, you feel tears of joy can come out of your eyes right now because you are so happy. And we do get that way when we watch some of those animal videos, don't we? We see a sad case rescued and healed and happy and adopted, and our energy just goes through the freaking roof. I know mine does. And I start, I'm always looking for the Oh God. How could they put that there? That's so good. Those are good people. Bless those people. Bless those people. So it's really good. I mean, if you need to have some help getting there, that's a good way to go. Because while you're in that elevated state of emotion is when that's the best time to create. That's when you're going to ask the universe, okay, this is what I want. What's around? What's the closest stuff to match my vibration? Bring it on. I'm ready. You don't have to even, you don't beg, and the universe will get your vibe. That's the whole point. It's your vibration that is attracting. So if you find yourself mulling over the past and your energy's dropping and you suddenly catch yourself, good, you caught yourself. That's whack-a-mole time. Then you go, oh, wait a minute. I already learned my lesson. I don't even know why my mind wandered to that crap. I'm done with that. And then consciously set it aside. So look, I know you're somewhere in the memory, but I'm putting this instead. I want to feel good. I want to feel happy. What makes me feel happy? Oink, have a fabulous afternoon. Thank you for your help. You took 3. Oh, have fun. Excuse me. I would imagine that it takes a little while to hit, right? I think mine take about an hour. Except for the nano. The nano versions are 15 minutes. You get that down, 15 minutes later, you know you took it. Which is nice. You don't have to wait and wonder what's going to happen or whether you need more. Forget about less. Once you swallow it, it's too late. So start small. Okay, let's count again. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. That's why I have tape on both sides. I knew there was a reason. It's like, why did I put tape on this? I don't know where this tape is going to be needed over here. It was last 2 times. Oh, yeah, okay. I get it. Okay, now I'm going to try something different. Since this is going to be not for Toblerina. Toblerina's wraps have to be a minimum of 3 1/4 inches long and 11 warp threads or 1 inch wide. Toblerina's mannequin is taller than the actual Toblerina. I mean, come on, you don't really think my big toe is that big, right? But this is actually, it's too small for Toblerina, and it is a little bit too big for the second in command. Oh, I know, I've taken the hat off so many times I need to put fresh tape down. So I realized I had an idea for next Thanksgiving, next November's calendar page. I'm going to have all of Toblerina's entourage wearing a woven shift. Different colors. We're going to just go wild with the colors because we're representing everyone having a seat at the table. So I want representation out there. I'm not changing the color of my foot. I'm not doing black toe or red toe or any cliche crap, but I am going to have every toe wrapped in something colorful. So we have there. Greetings to you, Charlie. You just missed Oink. I should have made myself a piece of cake. Of course you have a seat at the table. Do you want to be represented by one of my toes? I'm talking about my toes. So I'm trying to figure out for the background if I should make a table with 5 plates for Toblerina and entourage to sit at. You can say hello to Meg. Meg is here, but she needs a nap. It must be the crappy weather, Meg. Also, if you're working, and it's boring. Well, all right. What colors do you like? What are we doing? So, hello everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm so happy that you joined us. I'm in the mood for hot pink hair today. There we go. Oh, I saw Nathan Lane interviewed on, well, he was guested on Stephen Colbert. I love Nathan Lane. His hair looks so good. It looks like they wigged him up. Megaroo, Megaroni. I hope you're going to make that rhyme. So Meg, that's my idea. I don't know if you heard it. Because I'm going to have to cover and protect and moisturize Toblerina's head of her entourage, I'm making something for all of the toes to wear, which is going to be a challenge because they're not all the same, you know, like my pinky toe. That might only be like 3 threads. Oh my God, can I even do something? It's going to be more like a little belt. Thing is, it has to be an odd number if you're going to weave something or everything just keeps falling out. Yeah, that would just be stupid, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think, who knows, I might be able to get my other foot in there too. Build a longer table, not higher walls. I may have to move up in size of the canvases, or canvae as I call them. The size I have now is perfect for 1 foot. It's a little bit more difficult for 2 because you have to pan out a little bit more. But then again, I'll check it out. I'll try it. Megawatt megaphone. What about macaroon? Megaroon. You got megaroo, but you make it like more like macaroon, you know? Charlie's on a vocabulary kick today. Again, that starts with Meg. How's work today? And how was school today? Both you two? Oh, but wait, before you answer that, Charlie, what colors? I'll tell you what, we're going to limit it because I've already got these rolled into balls. And that's kind of important at the moment because I don't want to sit here rolling thread today. So we've got these colors. Oopsie. Oh, my little toe tie. Come here, toe tie. Okay, well, we have a little red. That's the last of the good red. School was, I went to the doctor. Why did you go to the doctor? Okay, these are the colors. I'm having you choose. What color do you want to be represented by? I went to the doctor, and so now I have to engage in medical activities because of my lower back and back pain in general. Well, let's see. You got a crappy chair you sit on, and you could use to lose a few pounds, and you sit a lot, and you don't do exercises to strengthen your core. So they're going to be giving you exercises. Are you ready for that? A slight misunderstanding with the doctor. Charlie, please tell me you are not an asshole. I want black. Okay, no, that's a typo. Try again. Yeah, we already know you're rotten to the core, and that's why you have pain in your back. But it's also pain in your lower back is a sign of insecurity, anger that you're suppressing. Oh, yes. We know energy. We know you can't lie about your energy. It's visible. You didn't want vitamins. One of those doctors? Why? What did he prescribe? What did he prescribe? That's because you're fucking 17 and he went to school for more than 12 years to get just that knowledge, to be able to look at you, check you out, and say, I think you need this. Why would he take it? Well, I'd probably throw you out of the office or call your parents in and say, hey, control your baby. All right, go on. There's this thing in Portugal. I'll wait for you to finish telling me a little more before I respond. Because I've been asking you what color you want to represent you and you haven't suggested any of them. So whatever you have, they just give you some general medication. Oh, you mean like everywhere on the planet? It depends on what your condition is. You know, I do not have doctors prescribing just anything. I have a blood issue, so I get very specific instructions, which I follow explicitly. Yeah, what does black mean? Oh, I see. Well, black is the core already, so I need something to go over the black. Well, yeah, it would have annoyed me too, sweetie. But if he was honest with you, he would tell you everything I just told you. That's why your back hurts. You're not doing anything to support your back. You don't do any exercises to strengthen your back or the rest of your body. All right, so what goes good with black? No, black on black. I'll do black on black, but I'm not doing all black. I'm not covering one whole toe in black like it's in mourning. So, just letting you know. So what did he give you to do? Yeah, that's good. He can look at that and see if you need vitamins, or some vitamins, the water-soluble ones anyway. Won't tell him anything about the oil-soluble ones. But that's all right. You'll get there. At least he didn't like just suddenly hit you. I'd be suspicious if I went, oh, I think you're going to need 3 injections today. Wasn't going to give me the justification I needed to not perform in class, gym class. You were looking to get out of class, gym class? The boy who needs more exercise than half the kids in your school? He's not going to justify it. No wonder. Say, oh, if you're that tired and that down, then maybe you need a multiple vitamin that has some B12 in it. I just told you what's wrong with your back. You've got a weak core. It's not rotten, it's just weak. You have weak muscles because of the way you live your life. Your habits are bad for your back. You can look at any video online on YouTube about how do I help my lower back pain? And it'll show you everything you do wrong, your posture, your chair. That's what I would expect. There was a reason you wanted to join a gym. It was a good one. Let's see if that'll work better. That's all right. He's not going to feel better until he learns about how to stretch out his back and do something about his posture, because I have had back surgery. I have a lot wrong with my lower back. I get it. Been there, done that, still doing it. So I know what makes it feel better and what makes it feel worse. Of course we want you to feel better. You're just going to have to get used to the fact it's going to take action, honey. It's not going to change just by thinking about it. Black on black. I remember. God, what is that from? Now, Meg, you are a Swiftie. But did you ever go through a black on black phase yourself? Which I believe most teenagers experience. Not all. I went to school with lots of perky blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls who were doing great, came from good families with money, and they did not have a care in the world outside of cheerleading. But, I mean, as I witnessed, it didn't matter where you came from. Every kid I knew in high school went through some kind of emotional shit. Even like one girl, she was from a really good family, definitely no lack of money or spoiling, and yet she shoplifted like it was a job, and she was in love with Paul McCartney and was hating on Linda, and actually stole a silver bracelet that said Linda on it, and she wore that. And I'm like, that's not your name. Why are you wearing a bracelet named with Linda? And because Paul married Linda, I'm the real Linda. It's like, okay. Yeah. It was just so interesting. And there were the cheerleader types, and I say type because they definitely had a different vibe compared to anybody else in the school. And I do remember a couple of them. I knew it was all a facade because of the way they were living at home. When I saw behind the scenes and I saw them in school, it's like, this is where you feel like you're getting some respect. I get it now. Yeah, being a teenager is just all the dynamics, all the different personalities. Ugh, all the school lunches. Yuck. Anybody have a school with good school lunches where they can look back and go, oh yeah, I love that? School lunches, I'd walk through, I'd go online, look, and by the time I'd get down to the end, it was like, I think I'll have one milk and an ice cream, thank you. I lived on milk and ice cream for lunches for a year. It's not a point. I mean, I can make points for wearing some color, but if you're not in the mood to wear anything but black, that's your problem, sweetie. You're still one of those brooding teenagers. I mean, are you also goth? With the fountain pen, that would be believable. I don't see a point in not wearing color, but like I said, when I was your age, my favorite colors were all muted. When I was a little kid, I loved silver. I wasn't so big on gold, but I loved silver and I loved magenta. Oh, magenta was like my favorite color. It was so happy. But then I became unhappy and my world became muted. I no longer was attracted to anything bright. I found bright colors offensive to my entire nature. Mood and problem. What problem? Is that a problem? All my colors were muted. Salmon pink, maize instead of yellow, slate blue, not any other kind of a blue, gray, loved gray. Didn't like the warm colors very much, unless they were dark. Now, I was attracted to black. I wasn't allowed to wear black. You know, in some places that's considered a superstition, that it sucks your energy. It's not good for your aura. Well, yeah, it is your problem. You know, if it's a problem, if you don't see a problem, then just keep wearing black. People get used to seeing you like that, and that's the category you end up. Oh, he's the guy that always wore black. Oh yeah, your colors reflect your mood. What you're attracted to says everything about where you're at the time. Unless you're wearing a uniform and you're forced to wear it. If you're choosing it because it feels more comfortable, that's because that's your vibration. And if that's where your vibe is and you're happy, awesome. If you're not happy and productive and sparkling, then it's just a reflection of how you feel about all that. But you give away everything about yourself by your posture, all the unspoken cues, all the social cues. Well, you might not associate with certain things, but everybody else does. It's an unconscious thing. It's a human thing. It's nothing you can make up or fight. All right, the Seder. That's not the point. You can be just as happy, but maybe you're not looking at how you really feel about yourself. Welcome back, Seder. I am so glad to see you. You put a smile on my face. Charlie, I'll tell you what, just to broaden your insights, go look up color therapy. You'll see that people change the colors of what they're wearing to change how other people perceive them and also how they feel physically, mentally. It's a very deliberate act to choose what you're wearing. You're not like a little baby that your mother's dressing. So it's not her opinion of you. It's just a reflection of you, where you're at the time. I can't see a point. Oh, I agree. I'm not into wearing people's advertising, but that's not all that's out there. There's lots of different kinds of clothing, and you should know that. You can even develop your own vintage style, but wearing black all the time is nobody's style except depressed teenagers, or goth people, or Wednesday Addams. But Wednesday Addams, they make sure you understand that she's a child of woe. But I've got some good news that it's actually the poem that was handed down was changed. And Wednesday is not a child of woe. I had one shirt that said something on it. It was a surprise gift from the friend I don't talk to anymore, because I had aspired all through high school to graduate high school and study at La Sorbonne à Paris, La Sorbonne, where Madame Curie went to school. And that was my dream, and that's why I studied French, just study biology, especially stuff about the brain, in France, en France. Well, that didn't pan out, did it? But I got this shirt. I got a college sweatshirt. It was white with blue poofy print. And it was like, "Aw, you remembered." So that was the only thing I had that had writing on it. Oh yeah, then I ended up, somebody gave me a hoodie, which was actually, it pissed me off it had writing on it. It said Old Navy, because it was awesome in comfort. It was gray hoodie, it was great, except that Old Navy, it's like, I don't like advertising other companies. So yeah, I wasn't happy about that. But yeah, the point is, your preference is a certain way because of you being a certain way in the now. Yeah, you don't wear all black, you also wear color. He's like anti-color at the moment, or has been for a while. You're 17. Don't worry, your preferences are going to change a little bit. Look, I love black. Half my wardrobe is black. I'm not putting down wearing black. I'm pointing something out to you that you need to explore a little further in terms of who you are. Learn more about who you are by looking at some of your preferences a little bit more critically, instead of just assuming it's a whim. But your whims are driven by other things. And if you want to change your energy so that you can be happy in the future at some point, you want to look at everything. I'm not saying go dress in yellow and red and go running in the streets. Although that would be fucking funny. I will not tell anybody to do that because I think that's clown clothes. Unless well done. Speaking of well done, oh my God, carte blanche. Iris's new collection just came out a few days ago. And it's shown underwater. She finally was able to totally incorporate water instead of just imitating water or reproducing the feeling of water in her clothes. It's like she did it in water. It's like, you gotta see. It's definitely Iris Van Helpern. Or is it Von Helpern? Oh, there we go again. It's just marvelous. It's got all the grace of ink and pigments moving through tanks of water. It's gorgeous. Well, Charlie, I will make this black on black, but I will tell you I'm going to have to sparkle it up at some point because my toes are not going to be this. I don't want anybody to think my toes are in mourning. No. It's an expression of your current personality, of who you are right now. Okay? Do you want to learn more about what you are accidentally revealing? Then look it up. That you are not your average person to begin with. So you should really make an effort to learn more about thyself. That's good. That's excellent. I hope you do that every single day. When I was going through my divorce, I was obviously depressed and angry. Really, really angry. The last thing on my mind was clothing. I guarantee it. And by the time that divorce came up, a lot of my wardrobe had changed from bright, happy red and some pink and sky blues and some pretty colors. Most of my wardrobe was gray and black and some dark purple. And now I know now how that happened. It wasn't just about being depressed. It was actually my blood cancer shit. I was so hot I couldn't stand any warm colors at all on my body or to look at. And I just started choosing cold and dark. But I also had to recognize that, I'm also suffering from anxiety. I'm in survival mode. I'm afraid of and simultaneously fearing and yet loving my husband. It was a very fucked up time emotionally. So I went to Florida to get a grip. Oh, that's good. Composure is better than being a wild asshole. It gets loaded and freaky in front of everybody. But my stepfather pointed out that I needed some clothes. And I had to agree with him. I did need some clothes, but I wasn't expecting him, of all people, to volunteer. Let's take Adrian down to the store and get her something to wear. Now, I did figure it out pretty fast that the reason they were doing this, and on top of that, there was also, let's get your hair cut, let's get your nails done, and get you hearing aids. They were setting me up to find another husband, which I thought was freaking like, another husband? I'm not over this one. I'm not even divorced from this one. I'm still freaking out about this one. So he started pointing out that my wardrobe was 100% monotonous. I did not have one single print in my possession. Not bottoms, not tops, nothing. Everything was a solid color, and most of them were dark colors. He made me reconsider, and since he was buying, I got a couple of things. Like I got something was pale green with little black polka dots all over it, and it looked really cheerful. And I got something else with a kind of a tropical pattern. It was Florida, and it looked actually really good. And he was like, there, you and your mother the same. And that was when that pattern hit me. My mother, when she went through from being like, middle class, getting lots of clothes just for doing what her mommy wanted, she went to divorce women with 4 children and not really being sure of when she was going to have money just for clothes. So my mother was the one that established that pattern of everything was a solid color so you could keep mixing and matching. By the time I went to visit my mother, and I was 18 years old, and I looked in her closet, almost everything was black or white or navy blue. She had everything to mix and match. If it was white, it could go with black or navy blue. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh my God, this is the most boring wardrobe I've ever seen in my life. And I'm taken after her. So, it's strange the things we can learn just by looking at our parents. Some stuff, you are emulating parents without even realizing what exactly you're emulating until years later. And something happens and causes some self-examination. Good job contributing something. Well, that sounds like a sane adult conversation, a good attitude. You're not a performer. So you have someone in your group that gets things going. Because it sounds like you're not the kind of person that would initiate. Oh, you're thoughtful until you have something. Oh, please. That wasn't what the conversation started out being. I didn't say you were goth. I asked you if you were into goth. It's a typical thing. It's that goth attitude as a teenager. And I tell you, you're not really helping your cause with the fact that you made a really big deal about getting a fountain pen. That's something I also did when I was a moody teenager. Moody doesn't mean stupid, or uninteresting. And although I did not have a black phase because I wasn't allowed to wear black, I did go through the phase of dull colors. I muted my entire wardrobe. And I get asked nonstop if everything's okay. Oh yeah, that's common. People used to ask me that. They would say, are you mad? Not because I was wearing black, but because of the expression on my face. It's not related to goth specifically, although goth is poetic, tends to be emotional, I guess kind of borderline emo. But they like to express themselves creatively, I've noticed. Dip pens, fountain pens, blood. It just depends on where they fall on those scales. Creative people. Black's also known as being a color of creativity. So basically, somebody who wears black all the time, I am not at all surprised that they would have any interest at all in something as archaic and as a pain in the ass as a fountain pen. Yeah, that's kind of sad if you're not any of those and you have a fountain pen. However, you're lying right to my face about the creative because you were trying to come up with a system which you still have yet to explain to us after referring to it as a system. And having to have the right notebook and the exact right pen. You enjoy some interesting music, though. I guess you don't like the lyrics, just the music. Yeah, I would hope that they would make a good pen. I mean, my Mont Blanc pen was beautiful. My Schaeffers were not long lasting. They were leaky little bastards very quickly. Well, just wearing black, like I said, that alone does not make anybody goth. But this is straying. I think, wasn't this point related at some point to you going to the doctor and copping an attitude with him that he didn't like? Well, obviously you're not. But you have good friends. If you're not calling them doofuses. Yeah, so you went to the doctor. How are you sitting right now? What's the position of your spine right now? He treated you like you were an inferior? I mean, he treated you were 17? How old do you think that doctor was? Just out of curiosity. Like an inferior. I mean, he didn't want to take your shit. He just wanted you to listen. You went there with a backache at 17. But didn't exhibit any of the danger signs. Like, losing feeling, not being able to walk. Wow. You gotta be nicer when you walk in. Charlie, not that doctors can't be assholes. I've dealt with them. And it's really annoying when you're young, and I do get that too, because you want to be heard, and they don't really act like they're interested in hearing what you've got to say. And you do have to protect yourself. But I know just from conversations, you're not dying, and you're not paralyzed. You just don't want to go to gym. We know that. And that's something you wanted to get out of for a long time. Yeah, because he knew what you were doing. You went there to find a way out of having to go do certain things in gym. Yes or no? Wasn't that your number one motivation? And then a bad back? It's like, my back hurts. Did he take out a pin or anything and like prick your feet or your go up and down your calves? Oh no, I'm not saying you're devious at all. I'm saying it was pretty blatant and he saw right through it. You were there because basically you want out of gym. That's not being devious. I got out of gym. I had different reasons, but yeah. So I'm betting you've already been checked for scoliosis because I think pretty much everywhere they start looking when you're going through puberty, around 12 years old or so, they check your back. You said what you were. You went there to complain about your back, but really what you want was out of gym. Some of the things in gym, not completely necessarily, but you want out. But we've known that about you for a year. This is not something you wanted to do. I don't blame you. I think it's humiliating the way they run gym classes. No, that's not in the wrong. You're feeling like I'm wrong. I'm just pointing out where you were wrong. No, I'm just pointing out where. Don't fool yourself. That's not a wrong. It's a don't just dismiss these things because they're revealing things about you, like wearing black all the time. Now, my first assumption actually when you told me that you always wear black was that you're overweight. And you're trying not to make it too visible. So you probably wear black clothes a lot if that's what your problem is. Women have done that for centuries. Wear dark colors, no one will notice. Oh, I believe you. I believe you, and you shouldn't do those exercises until you get checked out. But you didn't have an actual injury, did you? Did you fall? And didn't say that? Right. I get it. And the treatment is? I see. So, did he give you a doctor's slip? Yes, no. No, right? Or did he give you a temporary? Like, while we're investigating this, he shouldn't do this. Excellent. And I know he didn't give you an excuse for the whole semester. So you won't get a 0. And what's next? Oh, yeah, that's kind of disconcerting, isn't it? It's kind of like, I give up on you. You're going to do what you're going to do. Fuck it. 3 weeks. So 3 weeks is enough to gain strength because that's what I had to do with physical therapy. Okay, he took a piss test. He's looking at your kidneys to see if anything was damaged so that he knows you're not hurting yourself. They have to check your urine because you can hurt your kidneys, and he has to make sure they're not. So kudos to him. But when it comes back undamaged, because you didn't actually have an accident, nobody punched you in the kidneys, right? Did you get punched? Did you have a blow to your lower back? That's what he had to have asked. Did you fall? Did you get kicked? Did somebody punch you? Did any trauma to your lower back or to the side of your spine where your kidneys are? Wow. Don't you have any interest in your own health for real? Or you just let them I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not an advocate for my own health. Here we watch everything the doctors do. We don't want them to run any tests that are unnecessary. We're going to have to brighten this up because I don't want too many black things on my foot. So, well, I ask you, did you get a blow to your back or kidneys? Yes or no? He will know very quickly if that was one of the problems, because he can't send you back to gym class if you have a kidney infection, a cold in your kidney, or your kidney damage from a punch or something like that. But with all of the above, the pain gets progressively worse without you having to do anything. If it is because of bad posture, repeated posture, that's you're not supporting your back, if you have weak abdominal muscles, then you also have a weak core and you've got a weak lower back. So if your kidney tests come back clean, then the only thing that they're going to be able to give you is physical therapy to be evaluated. Then I'm not too worried about your kidneys. And you're likely to get the instructions to go to physical therapy and learn how to hold your body properly and strengthen your lower back so you can eliminate lower back pain. And also prevent further damage if you have anything damaged. Of course, if it persists, then they're going to run an x-ray. So you should take an interest in your own health so that in the future you don't get ripped off by doctors who are doing unnecessary testing. But at 17, you can do nothing but trust and follow instructions. So question, if exercise turns out to be the prescription, are you going to follow through with that? I'm asking you a straight question. I'm not worried about hidden aspects. After all, you've got to remember, Charlie, you're a voice on the internet. You don't hang out with me. I don't hang out with you. And you only eke things out, though page at a time, one line or two lines at a time. And that is not like revealing a whole lot about yourself, but you do reveal lots about yourself in certain statements. So there you go. I went through school. I went through a lot of back shit. Went through bullshit. And I know it's hard being a teenager, but I also know teenagers are full of shit and they have their own mischief and they cause all kinds of problems when they get it in their head to do so. I thought you were very introspective. Are you not? Did you have a change of personality overnight that I don't know about? I would expect, again, my personal prejudice, somebody who wants to do writing, come up with systems of any kind, and uses a fountain pen, I would say. You have a tendency toward introspection, and since you were writing poetry in this very chat last week, I'm going to say you also have an inclination toward that. I can't imagine what you would find wrong or offensive about that statement. We already know you're capable. Do you think you are successfully giving your attitude in words here? Well, but it's only jokingly? You don't do it in real life? What is this? Fake life? You just get inspired to do this when you're here, but nowhere else? Being into poetry or being poetic, and by the way, being poetic does not necessarily mean writing poetry, is a compliment, Charlie. Good. Careful with your words. Well, continue to do so. Shiite. And go back. Forgot to wind that back a little bit. Come back up here. No, not sincere. I usually believe you're being sincere. The point being that when you're just typing, you can go from sincere to joking to whatever, and that doesn't always translate in a chat. Because you're writing, I'm talking. So, totally different. You're not conveying all the emotional stuff, and so it's easy to get lost with what you're trying to convey. I don't doubt your sincerity, except when you out and out say you're doing this or that. think. Okay. No, that clashes. Do I want it? What the hell, why not? My other friend, which has essentially become like everyone else. I'm not sure which this is your other friend. Is this the female who was the best friend? Yes, you do. So you're going to have to elucidate on that subject. Well, enlighten me. Oh. So this is not the one that you confided in last year. Okay. Two different people. Got it. And continue. Okay. Which is pretty good. That's nice to have. And there's been no male-female awkwardness there. She's not been like looking to make this a bit more personal. Oh no. I'm sorry. That sucks. It's definitely not an attractive quality. So what, she's been bringing gossip to you? Okay, well, go on. I'm sorry to hear that, though. Gossip is very common and tempting in teenage years. Not by everybody, obviously. I avoided it. Although, to be honest, I was sometimes the subject of the gossip. So, you know. Where is that now? Now when I want gossip. I want people talking about it. Look at that strange woman with her toe. She dresses her toe. I'm like, yes, and she makes things to sell. Buy some. I'm assuming you're typing. Too much head bending down. I'm going to end up with a neck ache if I don't take a break. There you go. Aloha, Maui. Cool. Cool. All right. Yeah, not at all poetic, are you? You just like words. Okay, so what's the situation with her? Is she... Oh, you said she's been getting involved with gossip. Oh, dear. That's kind of sucky. So much for that intelligent woman. Intelligent woman. It is a terrible trap. And if she's distancing from you, what's the excuse? Because you don't tolerate gossip in your midst? I've got some gossip. I've got American gossip. Maui, did you see any of the YouTube videos of the ex-president giving that eulogy? I mean, the whole speech he gave at the frickin' funeral home. Well, Charlie, I'm sorry that it's turned out to be like that, because I know it is hard to make friends of the opposite sex that are platonic, for one thing, and somebody feel like they're intelligent, you know, and you're going to enjoy their company, and then they become stupid by getting involved with that kind of crap. And yeah, it's frustrating. Oh, no kidding. Oh dear. Okay, so she's hit the I'm suddenly a little popular and I want to take advantage of it stage. Oh, isn't that horrible? Oh my God, Coretta King would have fainted if she saw that. Oh, so disrespectful. I'm only not commenting on it in general because I have been asked as a white person, to sit down and shut up when it comes to that statue. But you're not going to tell me you think it's awesome. I mean, I want to know who the hell made that statue. No, that's true, Charlie, and I agree. But she may be into the dating thing now. She's feeling attractive and, you know, wanted. Someone's interested in her. Even if gossip is the way, you know, it started. Which is unfortunate because those kinds of relationships are shallow and short-lived. They're all the ones that die immediately after graduation. Uh, Maui, I saw something today that cracked me up, and it did make me think of you. Not you specifically, though. I mean, well, yes, you, but mostly other guys who complain that they wish women would give them more clear signals about what they want. Can't figure women out. And there was an actual video of, it was so clear. This guy, they're already like a game, you know, and the guy turns to the girl and she's like, yeah, yeah. And she's like getting all ready for, like, the eyes are fluttering, the mouth is, and she's like, we're going to kiss. And then the guy just like turns away and it's like, if only women would give us a hint of what they want. It's like, you're an idiot. You know, it's like, yeah, it's amazing how oblivious young people can be about what's going on around them. But it's not just young people, it's everybody. They can just be momentarily completely oblivious about what's right in their faces. But sometimes it is very funny. Looks like a fine statue. What's the problem exactly? Says the Virgin. It's a big problem. It's terrible. It is terrible. And I don't know who greenlit it, Doc, but I'd want to get to the bottom of that in a hurry. I just, whoa. Whoa. How many people actually went nuts over it? Oh, it's so them. No, it's not. No. It's embarrassing. Coretta was a very modest woman, okay? Really modest woman, upright, proper. Children do not talk until they're spoken to. Golden rule about everything. It was like she ran a strict household, which was good because she ended up having to raise all 4 kids by herself. Well, the family was there to help, of course, but they were all young. I mean, the eldest was only 11 years old, 10 or 11, when her father was killed right before her eyes. She's dead. She's dead now. She couldn't say anything. No one ran anything by the Kings before they did that. I can't imagine any of her kids given the okay. Some artist decided this was it. It's like, you lazy bastards. You gotta pick this picture. Oh, this famous picture. If that artist was white, oh, I'd want my money back. Because that was like, oh man, they did not know Coretta. And they did not know Martin. They didn't know them at all. He was a freaking minister. I don't know how they're going to fix that. The only way they can fix it, as far as I'm concerned, is take it down, melt it, and start again. I don't know who likes it, but I haven't met anybody who does. Does it not seem like an insult? Except to people who don't know what it looks like. I'm glad, Charlie, that at your age you only see the arms. Or you see them as arms. You see them both as arms. That's not what it looks like from a couple other angles. Well, as a smooth area statue, aside from it looking like a giant penis, or from another angle looking like Dr. King is doing oral sex on his wife, aside from that, it's beautiful. I saw Leslie Jones. Leslie Jones is the one that said, white people, you gotta sit this one out and shut up. We don't think so, Charlie, but you are entitled to your artistic opinion, of course. I took one look at it and went, WTF in 6-foot high letters. I want you to consider who it's a statue of and why even a little risque is completely wrong. Dr. Martin Luther King was a Baptist minister. His wife was like one of the strictest, most upright, well-dressed women who would pass out or kill somebody over seeing that statue representing her or her husband. Risque's not okay with that couple. That's rude. It's not okay. Why? You tell me why they couldn't put him, like Leslie said. You see all these other white men on the horsebacks all over the country. They want to give someone an honor. They put him on a fucking horse. This guy, they disconnected, no head, no body, just their arms together, looking like he's chomping on her. I'm sorry, that's not dignified. It's not. The only beauty I see is just the basic beauty of any bronze statue. Nice and smooth. He's like the Photoshop artist that sat down with the photograph, put a thing over and said, I'll start tracing it and I'll see what I can draw out of this picture. And then he does it and goes, I'm tired of this. This is really hard to do. And that's where he stopped. Like, well, I got the arms and the hands. Let's just stop there. I think that's big enough. We'll just make it really big and everybody will love it. And if they don't, because it's for Dr. King, they'll be afraid to not like it. That's the point, Doc, exactly. You can't tell that from anybody. It's like the anonymous statue. I'm outraged. I am just outraged. That's like, okay, you gave all the white folks what they wanted. You managed to avoid commemorating one of the greatest leaders of our country. So yeah, I'd like to see who did that and punch them in the balls. Because I guarantee that was not a woman. A woman would know better than to insult them like that. Also, when there's a statue of the kings, you want to see the kings. It's big time in the angles. But think of just that, what we just said. No one will recognize it. It doesn't belong to anybody. It could be anybody's arms. Capiche? Anybody's. And it doesn't even tell what color they are. Just because they're bronze, so is every other statue of every white man. No, it's bullshit. I'm with Leslie Jones on this. But with respect to Leslie Jones, I'm mouthing off. Sorry, Leslie. I'm pissed off. And I actually met those people. So I think I can say it better than anybody else around here. Because they never met the kings. And they don't know what they were like in person. Yes, but you don't see a statue that way. When you're looking at a statue, you're looking at it with your eyes with one angle, not a panorama of photographs of the statue that make you, oh yeah, now I see what this is. If you can't tell what it is when you're standing there, that's a problem. The statue costs a lot of money and it's supposed to be a tribute to the kings. Can you tell me one thing about that statue that says, yeah, this is the kings? Or either one of the kings. Well, that's what we're saying. It sucks. It sucks for what it was made to represent. I'm not saying that on its own it sucks. On its own, it's just another statue. Just like any statue you might come across in the park and just see it as a piece of art. That's interesting. And possibly a little risque. But as a tribute to two people who were very conservative, I mean, really conservative, sorry, no. It's an insult. It cost $10 million. The heads fell off in the making. You know what you do if the heads fall off in the making of it? You make it again. That's what artists are paid to do. Oh my God. We're only giving you half a statue. Sorry. We know that the drawing had their heads so you could tell who they were. But the heads fell off. We're not really good at the artistry of what we do. We didn't build the armature correctly. Not like it's not been done a million times. I agree. And what about the other statues? All of the statues they've made to Dr. King make no sense or don't even look like the man. It's like, wait a second, don't you have any artists that are real actual artists that can render a portraiture that looks like the person? Yeah, we know exactly what the problem is, Charlie. Dr. King doing a sexual act on his wife in public. A lot of the people who were asked about it, all they were looking at, they thought it was a giant penis with hands on it. Like, okay, so tribute to masturbation? The artist must have been masturbating. And I don't know who you are, artist, but I'm sorry. I'm telling you, you're not a good artist. You did a crap job. You disrespected the kings. Fuck you. I do have strong opinions, I know. I'm not apologizing for it, though. I sincerely feel that they misused that money, they wasted their money, and it's an insult. What do you mean? You don't know who the statue was made from? Without looking at what? I have seen all the pictures from all angles. I saw a video of it. I watched the unveiling. I think it's fair enough. As someone who has viewed quite a bit of art and gone to galleries and museums, I'm going to say it sucks. It's an insult. All right, we have 2 toes now represented on one strand. Oh, my chat disappears. Made for, wait, is it valid? It's still, you don't know who the statue is made for. It was supposed to be made to be a tribute. It was supposed to be made for the people who respect and love Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Instead, it looks like they hired someone who did things for Playboy. Sets what precedent? What sets a precedent? Charlie, it's a simple statue. They showed the photograph that it was taken from. There was no mention of the thing I saw of there ever having been heads as part of it, unless it was in the drawing that they never went ahead and made. Yes, you can. Doc, is that what you meant? That you can't really tell anything about it if you're not there to see it? That's right. I've been there. Boston is dealing with a whole bunch of Holocaust deniers, people who want all black people dead. They want Jews dead. They want Puerto Ricans and Asians dead. That's a lot of Boston right there. I looked at all that I need to see. It's not okay. It doesn't say. When you come across it, you can look at all the pictures you want of it, Charlie. You tell me who that's of. You tell me who is that statue representing. Without knowing who it was made for or from, you tell me, just looking at every angle, who it is. How do you identify who it is? I've seen enough of it to know you can't identify who it's for and who it is. You couldn't identify it with a picture next to it because they showed it on TV. This is the picture. And then they showed the outline. Oh yeah, you can kind of see that there. I never saw reporters working so hard to make sense out of a statue that was really easy to make sense of, that it made no sense. Floating arms. Actually, none, Charlie. I've never seen a statue other than ones of Dr. King that I can denounce in the same way. It's poor representation. There's one of Dr. King coming out of rock. It looks like he was Han Solo in that carbonite. It's like, what? They didn't even finish carving the man's legs. Oh, but if he was a white man, would they make sure that he looked like himself? That if you looked at that statue, you could tell who it was? Instead of, yeah, that's a black guy, I'm pretty sure. But it doesn't look like Dr. King, really. So, yeah, I've got a big opinion on it. They wasted a lot of money. They insulted people who were friends of my family. Yeah, I got a strong opinion about it. But I'm not paying for it. That's what people put money up for. Good for them. 10 years from now. You don't have to wait 50 or 100 years, Doc, right? Next year, people walking by will still not know who that is. There's no such thing as poor representation. How did you come up with that idea? That there's no such thing as poor representation. When you do a portrait, don't you think the portrait should look like the person you're painting? Unless you're Picasso and you have some great artistic standards there. There is not one thing about it that will help you identify who that statue is meant to honor. Nothing. That's poor representation. That would be like someone erecting a statue of a tarot card or a teacup and calling it Adrian. That's her. Oh yeah, I see her. I see this cup and that's definitely her. Yep. I guess you didn't understand the whole premise of this whole statue from the start. Go back, think about it a minute, and take back what you just said, because that was dumb. Who's to say it's a portrait? That was the point, Charlie. That's why it's so stupid. It's not a portrait. It's bullshit. And it's not complimentary. It's insulting. The moment you can take into consideration who it's about, it's an insult. It still sucks. Because the photograph could have been me hugging myself. That's why it sucks. And when people look at it, they won't know it's not me. I can go around telling everybody, see that statue? That's me and my ex-husband before our divorce. and nobody could argue with me. Only the artist knows what it is. No, everybody knows what it is because the artist was clear on it. I don't know why you're taking the stance that it's the artist had some kind of like freedom to just do whatever they wanted to represent the kings. I want to know, frankly, is that person black or white? And are they really an artist? Because, yeah. And it's not a matter of opinion, because you can say, well, art, it's a matter of opinion. And to that extent, it's true. But if the opinion is, does that or does that not look like the people it's supposed to be honoring, and it doesn't, then the artist failed. The artist did not accomplish their goal. They did not honor the dead. They did not honor leaders. They got away with murder and a big paycheck for a piece of shit. It's just a big bronze. It's going to sit in a park. No, but you can know what? You can go to any museum and see where they have been deciphered, and you can say, this is the emperor here. This is the philosopher here. This was the artist here. And they actually look like them. But don't take my word for it. Go to a museum. Go to a couple of galleries where there's some sculpture. Because I have. He's a black artist. What the fuck was wrong with his brain? Young man. Maui? Young guy? Like one of those, oh, we got an up-and-coming artist we're going to give this grant to? For no real good reason, or what? Yeah, we know that. We are aware of that, Charlie. Now you tell me what that statue represents if you don't know who it was for. What do you see in that statue? What's your interpretation of this monument, specifically to Mr. and Mrs. King? What emotion do you feel? Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not really that good of an artist, nor am I that experienced, but I got some good reviews, so they're going to let me do this. I'm going to make a bundle. It costs quite a lot of money to make them that size, and they have to be able to transport all that heavy stuff. They are hollow, though. They're cast in bronze. So there's nothing in the center of it. Two sets of arms hugging. Whose arms? Can you take a guess? And yes, I am serious. Can you tell anything about those arms that would give away who they are? I despise it because it didn't do what it was supposed to do. That once again, the kings are being insulted, and by their own people. It's an insult. It is not a compliment to keep having people, oh, we're going to do a monument, and yet the monuments end up not looking like the person they're supposed to represent. But you know what? Anybody else would have rejected those, because if it was a white man, it'd be different. And don't tell me otherwise, because we have faces carved into a cliffside. You know, the one that Trump wanted to add himself to, but they couldn't add another president because of the rocky structure being what it is. That's right. It represents nothing but arms and hands. And that's it. It doesn't say a thing about the kings. Oh, look, they hugged like every other couple and every mother and child, which they could just as easily say, oh, look, it's a mother hugging her son. Right? You can make it anybody's arms, and that again is the point. It's not supposed to be anybody. It's supposed to be the kings, specifically. So I'm not going to lose sleep over it, because, like I said, I am a white person, and I have to stand out of this one. But I'm outraged on behalf of them. Dr. King was a very handsome man, I thought. And his wife, Coretta, was beautiful. And yet somehow they just aren't getting translated. Somehow they just make them look like ugly people. Or like, who the hell is that? Oh, that's Dr. King. No, it's not. That barely looks like him. You just made a broader nose, call it a black man, and that was Dr. King? Yeah. Sorry. You know, oddly enough, I was thinking about the hat that I did not take out on Monday, Dr. King's birthday. It's still in my closet. It's labeled The Hat. And you're missing the whole point, Charlie, because the statue, the artist was hired specifically to create a tribute to the kings, specifically to them, to commemorate the doctor and his wife. Oh, look what they did. You can't tell those arms from anybody else's. So, yeah, I am weighing in on it loudly and enthusiastically. Because it's like, yeah, sucker, you went and spent all of this money, and we gave you this statue that could be confused for anybody of any color, because it's a bronze. And the bronzes are mostly all the same color. Tell me why it's good. As a white person, I'm standing down because black people have asked white people to stay out of this particular fight. It's up to them. That's why. For no other reason. I'm obviously not staying out of it because I'm voicing my opinion here and in a permanent record on YouTube. But I also wear a shirt that has BLM written on it. So I guess you know where I stand. What's good about the statue? It's a completely nondescript statue of two arms floating in the air, touching each other. Big fucking deal. Museum of Modern Art is where something like that could go, and nobody would think twice about it. It's like, an embrace of a penis. I can relate. you're not understanding what the guy was hired to do and what he failed to do. So I don't care what your opinion is on it, Charlie. I have my opinion, and obviously I've made it very clear. I don't think I have to redo it. We know what my opinion is. My opinion is, as a almost 69-year-old woman, and I have seen a great wealth of statuary over my lifetime, and also was blessed enough to actually know the people that statue is supposed to commemorate. I know what they look like. I know how they were. And I tell you that they both would have been like aghast to see that. Aghast. So that's the difference, Charlie. Anyway, Maui. I was talking about the hat. I didn't take it out this year, because it's old now. After all, it was made when Dr. King got his Nobel Peace Prize, and when he wore it. So it's starting to look its age. What other thing? You're changing the subject. What color was the artist? Black. Who was the statue supposed to be of? 2 black people. Whose money went into it? Not mine. So I can have an opinion, but I'm not black. And if black people are the ones that love that statue, then I have nothing to say to them. If black people need signatures on a petition to get that statue taken down, I'll be happy to volunteer. I will gladly sign to have that sucker melted down and turned into a true tribute to 2 great people. So, yeah. There are things that people have no business weighing in on when it comes to certain levels of having to make change. They want my opinion, I'll give it to them. But right now, this is about black people being disrespected again. And I can stand up for them, but I can't do anything about it other than that. Because apparently you're not aware of some of the history and the struggles of people in this country. Sometimes people just have to stay out of it. Yeah, I'm definitely with Leslie Jones on the subject, because we know how we have all these celebrities that are going to just jump in and with their 2 cents. And frankly, I can understand why a bunch of black people would be sick and tired of self-righteous white people jumping in and chiming in on their shit. The only reason I'm opening my mouth at all is because, like I said, I knew the fucking Kings. So I loved the Kings. I have the top hat my father bought in New York City to wear when he was introduced Well, actually, you got to take your cats off when you're introduced to the King of Denmark, the King of Norway, and you go to Oslo, Norway for the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony. And Dr. King wore that hat. Now it's mine. So I've got a little history in my closet. And I can enjoy that. But I know when to shut my mouth. Which is not rare, which is not often because I'm known to be mouthy. So I'll be mouthy and stand up for my black brothers and sisters in any fight they've got that's worth fighting, like for rights. When it comes to a statue, I can think it's ugly as sin, but if somebody there loves it, good enough for me. You want to put that up there in Boston? Yeah. In the 80s. She never lost her dignity, did she? Support me for what? As an artist, I can make anything and call it anything I want. And unless it's insulting, there's nothing you can do about it. I could draw a straight line with a squiggle and call it you. This is you. And you could be offended by it, and there'd be nothing you could do about it. But that doesn't make it right. No, you're missing the point, Charlie. It's a little bit more subtle than that. There are 11 towns across the United States that used to be black villages that white people wanted, and they flooded to get the blacks out. That's not that far back in history. So if black people want any of my support, they got it. They've got it. And if they want my support in tearing down that statue, they got it. But if they just want to say, we accept this as a beautiful piece of art, and we find it respectful of these two amazing humans, then I'm not going to cause problems. I'm not going to go there and demand that, what? You're being insulted. Can't you tell? No, I can see it that way, but if they don't, it's their statue. It's not mine. He wasn't my daddy. He was just friends of my daddy. It depends on what you're talking about. We're talking about a piece of art. It's not worth the argument or my energy. I'm not going to fight people if they feel differently than I do about it. But I'm never going to say that represents the kings, because it does not. They can put a sign under it, and they call it cocky duty. I'd believe that before I'd believe it was the kings. Integrate two people? Never mind, Charlie. And then we're going to have to wind that one back under. I'm not talking about it anymore. It's dull now. You're not understanding the point, and you're trying to make a point that doesn't have anything to do with the conversation as this started. I don't want to carry on forever talking about this. There's a lot of history that you don't know, don't understand, and it's not part of your world right now. So forget it. You don't understand the significance of having a statue made to commemorate those two people, and why certain things about it are important. But like I said, if they're not important to the people it was meant to make feel better about their lack of representation in society, and if they're satisfied with it, I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to argue with it. But here, I know it doesn't look anything like that. Yeah. As usual, somebody got paid to do a crap job. They got away with it. Fine. I do listen to my words. But you're not hearing me when I say, and this is common here with you, I don't want to belabor the same shit over and over again. Discussion's done. You're not understanding why a white person would say, it's not my business to act here because this is a black people thing. It's not just art for the public. It's like, this was specific. It had a specific goal. They failed as far as I'm concerned. No, I encourage sensitivity to other people's opinions and feelings about white people getting involved in their business. And I'm respecting that by not making their problem all about me. Other than me having an opinion and feeling like it's an insult, that's my personal opinion. I'm not going to publish that opinion and say, yeah, all you listen to me. You should take that statue down. I'm not going to say anything like that. But it is definitely an issue that's not mine to take care of. I don't like arguments. I don't like arguments. And I also don't like prolonging bullshit. So, I mean, you come here every day and you see me doing my thing. And I'm sitting here doing my thing. Do you think I want to get aggravated about anything? No, I don't. I want to be peaceful. I want to be blissful wherever possible. And I really don't want to entertain a bunch of crap. Yes, it's a pattern that you help. Matter of fact, you really do a lot to create it. So, you know, the fact that I even talk about it with you in some cases is like, all right, I have to remember you're 17, you have limited experience, you're not in this country, you did not grow up here, you're nowhere near my age, you do not have my point of view, and you never will. So I'm not trying to convince you of anything other than I know when it's my business to stick my nose in things. I know when it's time to shut up. Well, I suggest you go to bed. And the pattern will continue so long as you continue annoying me. Good night, Charlie. Thank you for your contribution. Right? Doc, don't you wish you could have told some white people to sit down and shut up during your lifetime? Like they don't know what they're talking about, or they just have no business talking about it. Or am I mistaken? You welcome white people's opinions on black subjects. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm deaf. You know I have a hearing problem. Good night, Charlie. Sweet dreams. Right, Doc? I know. I feel that for you. Like me growing up hearing shit about Jews. All the mythologies that go along with it. It's like, yeah. So done with that crap. No one called you insane. Why would you be insane? Go to sleep. Why? Isn't that a rather large exaggeration? Go from one extreme to another? No grays in there? No. Well, then that's your ignorance judging me, and that would be very foolish of you because you don't have a fraction of the experience I have. So you don't really understand what I'm talking about. But Doc does, so I guess it's not so much you're insane, it's just you do not have the knowledge base to understand yet. I don't seem to be affected by what? Do I have to reiterate my age for you? The fact that somebody my age is going to see things entirely different from the viewpoint of a 17-year-old who's never left home or had a job. No comment. If you want to declare yourself, you must be insane because you don't agree with me and you think I'm not logical. Whew. Forget it, Charlie. Shouldn't you be concerned with something more important right now? Experience helps. Being an American helps. Growing up, dealing with politics all these years helps. Having my father, who was a civil rights leader, helps. So, yeah, there's a few things in my background that help me understand the situation a little bit better than you do. So, there's no need to argue over it. I'm never going to agree with you about it on that subject because I see it differently, and it might be a long time before you get it from my perspective, but then the time will have passed and it won't be important anymore, and you will have to deal with other things that are more relevant to your life. This is not really relevant to your life. It's just a distraction. Yes, but if you don't have enough experience, those nuances are going to go over your head. Right, right. You know what happens. They're handed stuff as they're running through the halls. We've seen it ourselves. We see them doing that. They're not supposed to do that, but they do. People end up running down the halls carrying shit, and that ends up God only knows where. It's not supposed to happen. But this is bringing up some important features about who is taking care of all of these things. How did Trump get out of the White House with 30 cases of that stuff? Not just a few documents, not 30 documents, 30 cases of documents. I mean, obviously, we have a lot of things we need to address. Explain how that subject of the statue in any area of it, what does that have to do with your life, especially right now? I'm not saying it won't ever, but right now, how is it relevant to your high school existence? Talking with old people is not useless, but if you don't have context, you're going to have a limited understanding. And some stuff is very context sensitive. You have to know what it's like. It's not all about reading. Not everything is absorbable through reading. And it's awesome if we can share opinions, but on what? Where it's going to matter. You need to be talking to older people who have some relevancy to your particular world. This is a show that doesn't have anything like that for you. This is not relevant to your world. We're not dealing with high school subjects particularly. That's pathetic. That means taxes, right? Did taxes go, or were these donations? Because it does make a difference. It's not one part of the public. It is definitely racial. Black people have good reason not to trust white people, unfortunately. And they have good reason to want them to sit down and shut up and mind their own business, because they don't usually do that. So I can understand why black people would be sensitive about their own personal icon being represented in a way that is unseemly or in any way undignified. Well, you're drawing your own conclusions based on this one event. That's too bad. Because if you base your opinion about the world based on this event, that is definitely your problem. You can continue, but you're wasting your energy and directing it at all the wrong stuff. Tell me, Charlie, how are black people treated in Portugal? How are black people seen in Portugal? Do you see any traces of prejudice? Or is everything like really cool, and blacks and whites and beige and everybody just kind of mesh just fine? Intermarriages, no objections, all that in Portugal? Who are you talking about? And they're on average more educated on the subject and live with it more meaningfully. Are you referring to our black population? Because We've got half the population trying to make sure that the black history is preserved and known and circulated. And then we've got a bunch of other people right now who are trying to prevent that from ever happening. They're trying to cut black history out of school. Like in Florida. They want to ban racial studies, ban gay studies, anything outside of white. So are you experiencing anything like that in your country? Are you witnessing black people being shuffled off to Buffalo? Did the other part of the population not pay for it? Oh, that's a good question. That's why I asked it. Paid for by the public, it could be two things. It could be donations, GoFundMe, or it could be taxes. If it's taxes, it's everybody's business. If it's donations and GoFundMe, it's only the business, really, legally, of the people who paid. There's not anything to do with that. You're confusing the issue here. You're trying to make one thing big enough to cover everything else. They have their own problems. They don't need people like me chiming in on that subject. It doesn't mean that they're removed from the table about everything else in the world. But yes, it's valid. They have the right to ask white people, after every abuse and humiliation that they've suffered at the hands of our ancestors, they've got every right to ask people to shut up and sit down. Matter of fact, I've got a book that's called Sit Down and Shut the Fuck Up. That's pretty good. Well, I'm asking you about your country. You're in Portugal. You're not here. So what's relevant to your life? Do you have black schoolmates that you treat and hang out with as just like everybody else? Well, I don't know what the racial dynamic of your schoolmates is. I'm asking you. The king was white, asked white people. The white people ruled everything and treated people of color as crap. They were slaves. They were knaves. They were crap. And they were starved. And they were beaten. So why would we have white people sit down on a black subject? They were the ones torturing them. I don't see how it's at all relevant to your life unless you are actually being mistreated because of your color, or you're mistreating others because of their color. Is that the case? Are you being mistreated for your color? Is this something that comes up? Yes, but it's not really relevant to your life at the moment because all you have to do right now, your job is school. Your job is graduating. Your job is figuring out what you want to do after graduation. So everything else is an intellectual pursuit because if you are not having issues with radicalization around you or being bullied or other issues, you're not having anything dramatic going on because of your color or your religion or yet your sexuality. Where is the relevance in the immediate now? Because that's all that counts. You can study anything you want, but you still have to take care of number one, your school. What's relevant now is your school and getting decent grades. That is what you're supposed to be focused on. But you want to entertain yourself with all these other things that are going on, especially things that are not directly in your face, influencing your behavior in the real time. I mean, are you having racial issues where you live? Are you having racial issues in your country, period? Get going in what? You need to go to bed. You need to graduate high school. And, your grades have been uneven by your own admission. So you know what your priorities are. I don't have to tell you. I mean, I'm sure you don't tell me everything. You're studying economics, but you're still at the high school level. So, have you made any decisions? Economics, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, again, it's not a matter of what's relevant to your school, it's what's relevant to you while you're in school. You can distract yourself with a million different things. We're all good at that. But is that going to help you? Is the question. Odds are it's not. All right, I've got to find a way to do this now. I will not be able to make those teeny weeny. I should have just made 2 on this. Darn it. I am not worried about it. There you go, Doc. There you go. Right? We get it. You're just lacking experience. You're not insane. You're trying to be logical. You're trying to make sense of the world, but you're also immersing yourself in things you really don't need to right now. They're just distractions. It becomes an excuse not to do your homework, not to do your actual work. You know where you need to be working harder. Now, I don't care if you come in here. It's after your school hours. It's before bed. And talk about things that are not at all relevant to you making sure you get the hell out of school with your classmates and not stay back a year. Right, Doc? If you want to see yourself as insane, be my guest. You'll have to make that definition up yourself of what that means to you. But, hey, I'm not going to sweat over it. You want to be insane? Oh, you think you're insane because you're twisting your own words up. You just need rest. Hey, you want to be insane? Fucking be insane, Charlie. I'm not arguing with you. It's just annoying, okay? You're 17. And yes, there are a lot of nuances to the subject under discussion, but the discussion is over because it's past your bedtime and the discussion was not worth continuing. I didn't say you shouldn't search for more knowledge, but I told you what your job is. Your job is to make sure you graduate from your senior year. You're the one that's been mentioning your grades, and they're definitely under par. So you were concerned last week about what you're going to do after school. Have you come up with anything? I mean, if you're going to go and expand your brain and look for knowledge, shouldn't it be about what you're going to do in your own future? You only go to school for 4 hours a day? Wow, aren't you a lucky one? Well, that's a problem. To come to conclusions just means that's where you decided to stop thinking. That's what a conclusion is. It's where people stop thinking. They decide to stop thinking. It doesn't mean they're right. It just means that's where they stop thinking. I'm gonna have to see if I can do this. I don't know if I can. This is a new experiment altogether. Well, that's great. Are you any closer to knowing what you want to do when you're out of school? It's always going to come back to, Charlie, what are you doing for your future? What are you doing now? What are you wasting your time on? What are you directing your time on? Because everybody's got to answer that question for themselves. As far as learning, I'm assuming there are libraries in Portugal. I'm assuming that you can take online courses of anything you want in Portugal, like we can here, including a lot of classes that are free. I mean, you did start to study Latin. How did that go? I don't see you doing anything except bullshitting me. You just want conflict. You want an argument. Sometimes you want a discussion, but most of the time you just want to turn it into a contest. I'm not interested. I don't spar with 17-year-olds. What phrase out of context? I'm talking about any topic. You have a responsibility to graduate high school, whether you have 4 classes or 1,000,000. That's your responsibility. You're not staying home forever. What are you going to do when you're out of high school? That's what everybody wants to know, the big question. What is Charlie doing when he gets out of high school? Your learning is going to go on your entire life. And what subjects? Anything. You can study anything you fucking want. But here in this room, this is not about you. It's not all about you. It's not a Charlie room. It's a me room. And it's about me doing my arts and crafts and talking about how to improve our lives as people individually. It is not about, this is how you grow up. That's great. You want to assess your own mental state in a fucking public chat room like I'm your psychiatrist or your mother? What am I to you that you're going to bring up your psychological state of mind? It's not like you're depressed. I mean, you're not coming here saying, I'm so bummed out. It's not what that's about. You've been studying economics on your own. Awesome. Toward what end? I'm not really sure because you're not clear on that in words. You may know where you're going with it, but that's not what you've shared in here. I study this on my own. Economics. What aspect of economics? Going toward what? State economics? It wasn't productive for me at all, Charlie. I mean, literally not this much productive for me. I don't think you understand what I feel is productive. But it doesn't matter because I'm not here to explain that either. It's not the concern. In fact, technically speaking, you are not my concern. You are a young man who comes to my broadcasts and then likes to get into all these conversations, and some of them are entertaining and some are just annoying because you're 17. And yeah, I know you're not nuanced in some things, or that's just because you haven't been around long enough. And eventually you will be, but by then I'll be dead. Well, that's awesome. Eventually investing. And history and knowledge, are you talking about just economic systems of the world, or relating to America, relating to Portugal, and what aspect? That's a big subject. Maybe, if you get where. Was it productive to you? It wasn't productive to me. Okay, I just want you to be straight on that. That's not an insult to you. I'm just telling you that you took a subject that was this interesting to me, and really more between me and Doc than anybody, because of the specific subject matter. That was it. And then went on and became something way more that I wasn't interested in. Well, I'm glad. Then you got something out of it, but it's not really doing anything for me. Other than saying, this is another mole I have to whack. No, that's not going to work either. All right, let's try another tactic. Ooh, that might do it. Oh, that's going to be very small then. Well, I guess my pinky toe will be wearing the black cowl. I guess you don't understand what I find productive, Charlie. But thank you for considering it might answer to some of my desires or needs, even though it didn't. You do need to go to bed. Sweet dreams. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Yes, investing is a good idea. Everybody should learn something about investing while they're young enough to do that. All right, this is dangerous. Can I do this? Will I be able to do it? We're going to try. Maybe I need to bring this down even more. Okay. Uh-oh. Come back here. And now we know why I am not a parent. God, I'm so glad. All right, now let's try this. Oh, really didn't want them to be so compressed. But we don't have a choice. He's a good kid, or I'd kill him by now. All right, we're gonna try it. Goodness gracious, help me with that. Well, maybe I do this too. We got lots of room down here. All right, I'm gonna make this work. Even though it's getting more compressed. Come on. No, don't be doing that. Oh, no, you don't. That would have been embarrassing after all this. And I got that locked in there pretty good. That's going to have to be bigger now. Ugh, frustration. Well, it was an experiment. That's all you gotta do, sweetie, is be content with who you are, grateful for what you have. All of that is good. It's when you're envious of others that you make hell for yourself. Envy, greed, all of these things just take away from your own spirit. To be happy for other people's successes. Celebrate other people's successes. Never get caught with envy and greed. All right. Dare I? We got that right. This could be bigger. I'll be very sad if I cut this and then can't make this fit. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Let me think. Doc, did you come up with a happy music list? I want to see some happy music lists. Like what have you got? What makes you happy? We should listen to. You didn't do it, huh? That's an important exercise to changing your vibe. You need to have sources of joy, sources to help raise your vibe, or your vibe will stay the same. Because the vibe that we carry is our habitual vibration. And that doesn't always serve us. Okay, just stay there. Yeah, happy music. When we have our minds running amok, happy music is a good, fast way to bring us out of that. Because when the brain is going on and on, it's really hard to get a grip sometimes. So we need tricks. We have to be able to trick ourselves into chilling out. Of course, a little Maui Wowie certainly does help. But using the power of music, Marley knew what that meant. It's medicine. So we should take our medicine. It's good medicine. You ever put on music and dance around? New song every day. Well, I think that's great. Yeah, that's only recreating more pain. I get it. This is why I need to use the tools. Different tools, sweetie. Different day, different tool. But music is a consistently good tool. When you focus on your pain, doesn't it make the pain worse? Don't you feel it more acutely? I know I do. I do everything I can to alleviate the pain on a spiritual level. It doesn't mean I'm completely pain-free or anything, but I'm definitely getting a lot more pain under control. There has been an improvement, and I can't lie. It is the happier I am, the less pain I have. So I love being happy and focusing on my joy because I definitely feel better. I have more energy to do things. I get more ideas for creating things. Joy has power that will sustain you through the day. But right now I can understand, with a sick cat and, you're still in survival mode. You're still not feeling perfectly comfortable in your home. Sure. Yep. Well, at some point, it's got to be all right, I recognize what you are. I know what you're doing. I know what makes you worse. I know what makes you better. You just have to consciously keep changing your thoughts until you come up with the better feeling one. Which, like I said, I know that's a practice. That's the whack-a-mole thing I talk about. That's like today, recognizing, excuse me, that I'm following a pattern that I learned from my father. And it's not a great pattern. It's not a one that you would normally notice right off the bat. It's definitely one that's like, oh, well, son of a gun. I didn't see that. Now I do. So now I need to address it. So now I'm working with my body-mind thing again. All right, let's take care of this. It always, look, Doc, it's never finished. You're not going to finish anything, all right? Don't even assume you're going to get to the end of the journey, all right? The journey never ends. So there is no ending. You're going to be working on you for your entire existence in and out of the earth plane. So it's, you don't need to bang your head against the wall like you're on some kind of a schedule. The measure of how well you are doing is how you feel. And the more happy you are, the better you're doing. You're going in the right direction. You're listening to the signals that your body sends you. So you're going to be uplifted if you follow the directions. But if you are not paying attention, you're not jumping on it when it comes up, then it's going to bring you down. It's going to become a negative. But as far as taking longer, well, true. We can't fix everything just by snapping our fingers, obviously. Some things are going to take longer than others. But it doesn't have to take as long as it feels like it might. It's not like going to therapy. You go to traditional therapy, depending on your problems, you can basically anticipate it's going to be about 6 months of therapy before you even hit the heavy shit. Because the first 6 months, a lot of deflection, explanation, getting to know each other. You don't make any great discoveries really in your first 6 months unless you've been through therapy or in therapy before and you've already gotten some stuff out of the way. So definitely a learning experience, therapy, right? But you get through different things and then you don't need therapy for a while. I went, years without therapy, and then a major thing happens in life. It's like, okay, I need someone to talk to. I need someone to work through with this. Like, my father dying, that would be a big one. Family moving away, divorce. I mean, these are big issues. Moving into a different place, going from houses to an apartment. That was a big culture shock thing. So things take a time to adjust to. And if you are able to get a counselor of any kind, that's usually, but not always helpful, because all counselors are not created equal. I went through several before I found one that really was useful. So you got to be willing to try to find the help that you need to make life more pleasant. You have a lot of disadvantages from the past, but you're here now. And if you stay here now, you have more advantages than disadvantages at this stage of your life. You are almost retirement age. You got a ways to go. You don't want to retire any faster than you have to because of the difference in money that you get. How old are you? What are you, 60 now? I can't remember. I know you're younger than me. You didn't turn 65 yet, right? Like, I had to retire when I was 62. I had to take the early retirement because, Glenn. And also that just happened to be the same time that the chemo became impossible for me to cope with. And obviously I'm doing much better with it, but it still throws me. Yeah. So 3 more years? Or did they change it? You can still retire at 65, right? They did not raise the retirement age yet, did they? 63 in May, okay. If you can hold on till full retirement, you'll get your most money. I lost $200 a month because of having to retire early. And I looked into unretiring and retiring again later. Nope, it won't work. I can't unretire at my age now. And you only have 1 year to change your mind about retiring. So my time to unretire was the first year I retired, and I couldn't. So you need to look into that. Now, the good thing about my age is now that I'm over 68, my tax bracket is different on my Social Security. So it's definitely in my benefit right now. But, you know, the game of we give you this, we take this back. So I'm still in that. Okay, I have no idea what it's going to look like at the end of March when my rent goes up and all that. Yes, but you were also in the Army. What do you get from that? I also had that same problem, Doc. I did not earn a bunch of money, and it didn't matter because when we were earning our money, the cost of living is way higher than what we were living on. So that's the problem for everyone when they retire. You worked in a certain set of decades, and where the minimum wage didn't change for decades, and you're living on very low amounts of money. That's not going to add up to much when you go fast forward into the future. Even if you were earning a fairly decent amount for that time, it's no longer a fairly decent amount when you're talking about getting a percentage of it back. So the lottery is nothing to depend on, or you will starve to death. People who depend on the lottery never win the lottery. Okay? So you're getting something, and then when you retire, you will have another buffer. You will get some more. You can go to Social Security online and see exactly what you're going to be getting, depending on what year you file. So you know what you can add on in your head. I wanted to come out of retirement and put money back into my retirement so that when I was forced to retire because of body not holding up anymore, then I would be able to retire and get more money. But that's not going to work. So whatever I make is whatever I make. My pension is definitely nothing. Well, not pension. My Social Security is my pension. So that's like nothing. Yeah, definitely look it up. Because you can project. I mean, all that stuff is on socialsecurity.gov online. You create your own secure thing. You can get your benefit letters. All that stuff is right there on a personal page. It's real easy to navigate once you get signed up. But be careful, because when you sign up, you have to come up with your PIN or your ID, whatever it is, and you better not ever forget that shit. You write that down somewhere where no one can find it. Make sure it doesn't get lost. Getting back in is going to be a real bitch if you lose that information. So, you know, they're high security. But every time I have to prove my income, I can just go there and just print out an up-to-date page. Even though the benefits may not change, when someone asks for a benefit letter, you have to have the most current date on top. So if it's even 6 months old, they'll make you go back and print it out again. So it's good to have that website, because when you get a little older, you're going to be doing all that. Oh dear, well, that's not a good way to lose weight. Do you know what it was you ate? Oh, my dear. Oh. Okay. Okay, do you have any white rice around? The same things that we use for helping our cats and dogs' stomach works for humans. Let's see. Are you throwing it up, or is it the runs going out the other way? Okay, you want some boiled rice. Don't put butter on it if you can avoid it, but if you need it, then a little bit won't hurt. Um, if you have any bananas, have a banana. If you have any chicken broth, you can do like chicken broth with a bunch of rice. So you get hydrated. You need electrolytes if you've been losing stuff out of your gut. So see if that'll settle you back down. Out the bottom, you definitely need rice. Rice, chicken broth. You have any broth at home? I always keep broth in the cupboard for emergencies. Well, good. Glad he's laughing. Like, do you want to use my litter box? It's over there in the corner. Get some rice in you. If you have a banana, definitely. When you stop running to the bathroom, take a multivitamin if you have that, because you're losing your electrolytes when that happens, and that'll make you sick. So you need to make sure you got it. That sucks, Maui. That's so uncomfortable. Well, I have been on for 3 hours. And is Oink back? Oinkness! She must be feeling fairly good right now. She had 3 gummies before going to run errands. Good thing she wasn't driving. That's why she could do it, because she wasn't driving. Yes, and sure might help. Well, that's not going to stop what's going through, but yes, you can take that like a vitamin if your stomach can handle it. It might go right through you. But they're small. They're intense nutrition. So yeah, if you have some around, that might work. But you really need rice. You need something gentle and solid and soft. And rice is good at binding you back up. So good old white rice. About the only time I ever eat that anymore is when my stomach is weird. I tend to go, if I do grains, I do hearty grains. I do purple rice, wild rice mix, that kind of thing. Something that, no white rice in it. Although on the occasions I do get Chinese food delivered, I frequently end up with some free white rice that pretty much always ends up in the garbage because it's going to sit in the fridge. Good. You feel better. At least it's early enough in the day you can get to the store if you have to. But in the future, try and remember, keep some chicken bone broth around. Bone broth, high nutrition, lots of calcium, lots of electrolytes. Help you feel like your strength is coming back into your body. I always think of it as like miracle juice. Anyway, tomorrow we will tackle this, see if I can rescue it, or if I'm going to be tearing everything up and doing it over again, which is, of course, always a possibility. But we're going to give it a shot tomorrow. We're getting snow tomorrow. I will probably not be going anywhere. So I'll see you tomorrow. And while you're working on that, Maui, make a list of happy songs. Make a playlist of happy songs. Seriously. High energy, things that make you go, yeah, I'm alive. See what you can find. Please. I want everybody to do that for themselves. It's important for your energy. It's important for your future. If you want a happy future, you've got to get happy. So you need something to raise your energy. All right, thank you. Because we want to share that. We want people to share their happy songs, their happy music. What gets you going? What lights your fire? What makes you want to dance? What makes you feel like you have to dance? That's even better. Something makes your body move. You're on the right track. So see what you can find. I mean, I've got a long list of music that fits that bill, but it's probably not going to be stuff you will love. So aloha, darling. I see you tomorrow. And everybody else who is sitting out there, I see we have more people now that now I'm getting ready to go off. I can't see who's here, but I'll be back tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Raise your vibes. Be happy. Be joyful. Look for something to laugh at. Laughing is really good.